Hello there, bless block and change the lock chronicles. The no build, no peace, no table men. Leave them alone. Now, this video will be followed by a second one, which will generalize this idea, but I'm presenting this first for a very specific reason. We need to talk about these ideological cousins because they are the reason that both you will find men of this type of every color out here wanting to basically find child slave brides because they cannot compete, they cannot collaborate, and they cannot value anything. And they will never have the peace of mind to do it. And there are three major tells that are very common, and it is not a question of race. Now, when you hear these things, actually block first. You pray for them when you're safely out of their presence. So block, bless, and change the lock. It doesn't rhyme as well, but you gotta need to understand that because you need to keep this locked up on your heart or anywhere around these people. Because the minute you hear these tells, no, nine, no is no in Italian and Spanish too. I think it is in Portuguese also. Yet in Russian, and I forget what it is in Japanese, but go find out. The Be My Peace Man. And I'm going to dispose of these very quickly here because I want y'all to come out to Vetting 101 with Wa Aunties is coming up. I believe Friday coming up. I want y'all to really put your mind around. We're going to get deeper into vetting and why you need to, but I'm going to give you some tells. Be my peace, men. Nope. By assuming that mindset, co-signing it, I'm going to tell you how to go through people's social media in a deeper way than what you're used to. When you find people co-signing different things like this, just understand a man who needs anybody outside of himself to be his peace has neither found peace with himself, his life, or his God. Now, whoever that may be, even an atheist has someone that they worship and who they take as the last word. It will be a system of ethics or themselves. But understand, if a man comes to you, a man at a big age, needs you to be his peace, he has established no peace in his own life. He's not at peace with himself. He's not at peace with God. He's not at peace with the life that he built. Oh, well, then that brings us on to men build. Men who actually do build do not talk in the plural as if they are assigned all the things that men have built, but not without the help of women. The reason you have a computer now is because Charles Babbage is generally given the credit, but we now know that 75% of the algorithm for the computer was written by Countess Ada Lovelace. So they didn't build by themselves ever. But whenever you hear a man talk, well, only men built this and men built that, that just means it because what men who actually build do is talk about what they've actually built. So if the man has no sense of peace to be able to think about building anything, then of course, when he asks you what do you bring to the table, here's what you need to know about that. If you brought me to the table and you don't know my value, that means you have nothing on your table that's valued properly. First of all, you're confused. Second of all, you have no sense of judgment. Third of all, you have nothing available that will be worth me being there because you only have me there to be the next meal. That's it. They're cousins. No peace, no building, no table, really, worth having. And because these men do not know how to compete or collaborate or to build, compete for what already exists, collaborate to build new, or not, this is why they want to get all of that out of you, which brings to my next video. What I'll generalize this back. But I need to bring this to y'all's attention because I literally have seen both black men talking about how they want women who have never had any kind of even emotional connection to another man. I'm like, sir, you need someone who's younger than 11. And then white men's point of view on this, with the caveat that needs to hate degenerates. Jordan Peterson is walking up and down Twitter right now, whipping up hate against degenerates like he is the undercooked version of Umar Johnson, sicking his feral dog supporters on a black woman. And for those of you who need to know, Jordan Peterson is wise enough to know that the Nazis did this. They had a whole list of degenerate, just not be of pure Aryan blood, and you were a degenerate form of life. And this is the kind of fervor and rhetoric they are whipping up online right now. So not only does a white man want a woman that has no male friends and no connections to men ever, they also want this woman to be a little bit hateful, which means that woman has to be a little bit older, or she would have had to been raised to be hateful from the time she was born. So what are the tells? Because this is very dangerous. The white men like this and the black men who want to be like them, you don't want to have any way that they are going to be. This is why I say block it first, then, baby, if you want to pray later, if that's what you choose to do, do that. And I, of course, as a Christian, would say pray because this behavior that they have, they don't have peace with God, they're down. That's what the scripture actually says, because peace with God comes through Jesus Christ. If you don't have peace with God, then when your whole life of rebellion comes up, you are already, as the Bible says, you are already condemned. Everybody loves John 3:16. Well, John 3:18 says, he that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already. So you have to understand that is probably the deepest mess up there is. If you're looking for a woman to be your piece, you can also track this through literature. You can track this through all of classical opera, almost. I can think of a few exceptions. There's one opera when the man finally realized that it's one of the least popular, although it has some of the beautiful music. The Silent Wife, die schweigsame Frau. Man tells his nephew, find me a young and silent wife. But by the end of the opera, he realizes his problem is him. That's an exception. But see, Richard Strauss lived to be a very old man. He lived through Nazi Germany, so he learned a few things along the way. But that's the most dangerous, because this means that this man has no peace from heaven to earth. He is in communion with nothing of the spirit if he needs to extract this from every woman he meets. That's actually the most dangerous. This means that he is never going to be able to settle his mind down to build anything. So he'll always be talking about what other men build as if their account applies to them. It does not. And a man like this will never have the peace to be able to determine the value of anything he brings to the table, including you. So we're gonna have to change it. I'm gonna keep the title the same because it's a playlist. But now you want to block these, and then if you are a Christian and if you are led by the Spirit to pray for them, to bless them by praying that they get saved, go ahead and do that. But I know I have people listening to me. As I said to Auntie Love, she only says the word redemption because I brought it up and she hadn't said it for 4 years. That's a choice too. But the main thing is these tells. And because men know we're getting onto this, what you want to do is you want to go notice, what you want to do is you don't want to bump the algorithm of certain people, but what you want to know is right click the video so that it comes up and opens the tab and doesn't play. And then you go see if the people you are in those comments. Because on some social media, you can find out who commented on what. How do you think I know what men agree with Jordan Peterson's foolery as he tries to whip up his underbaked feral dogs to wipe all of us out? Like the Nazis they admire. How do you know? How do you think? Because I'm saying that because if you use the same language as someone that was used to provoke a genocide, I'm going to assume that you are in philosophical agreement. Like Jordan Peterson does not know that we know that he was on a drug. He was a drug addict for a minute there. Got addicted to drugs after a surgery that went wrong, and that it was his daughter that had to help him out of that situation. Like we don't know. Like all these men sitting up here talking this foolishness and trying to whip up hate of everybody else are not tired, tortured, weak, empty individuals who should not be put in charge of anything but getting their own life together. This is the same Jordan Peterson that once was brought to tears because he realized who Jesus was and then walked away from it and shall be down because of that. It's like you had a chance to know, sir. You chose to go back to foolery. There's a lot of these people who have an opportunity to know better than what they're doing, but they choose the foolery. Most of the time, you don't get a second chance. You do not need any man of this type in your life. You're a big age and you ain't found peace. You don't know how to shut yourself up and go find what you should be doing so you can build with somebody else. You can't compete. You can't compare. You don't know what's on your table. No, no, no. Block them first. Then if you want to pray for them, do that and then change them locks. Do not, at this season, where black men and white men of authority are up here whipping up their followers like feral dogs to take out whoever they don't like today. You do not need that energy in your life. And the rest about how you track these men in a more serious way, we'll get to Anwar Auntie's Vetting 101. All right, I'm gonna do another video of this, which is more generalized because there's plenty of women of the same mindset. The problem is codependency, but we'll get to that. You'll see that probably tomorrow. All right, have a good day now. And remember, not bless first, block them first, run, and then if you want to pray for them, do that later. Because you do not need any man in your life. No peace, no build, and has stuff on his table that he doesn't know the value of and is waiting to eat you as the next meal. No! Bye, y'all.